So this video is going to be all about the periodic table. So we're going to learn about the history of the periodic table, we're going to understand the periodic law, and we're going to be able to identify groups in the periodic table and their general properties. So Dmitry Mendeleev developed the periodic table according to atomic mass in 1879. So eventually the number of protons and therefore atomic number could be determined. So the periodic law is when the elements are arranged in order of increasing atomic mass. Certain sets of properties recur periodically. So the configuration of electrons influences the chemical and physical properties of the elements and groups and where they are located on the periodic table. So let's go over some general properties. So the main group elements, we have groups 1, 2, and then 12 to 18, and they're the most prevalent elements on Earth. And then we can predict the number of valence electrons they will have. Next, we have the transition elements. So electron configuration is much more complex. And then we have our intertransition elements. So it's the last two rows, and they're the most complex electron arrangements. So let's go over our groups. So our group 1 elements are our alkali metals, and these are extremely reactive metals. They're solid and they're shiny, and they're found on the very far left column. Next, we have our group 2 elements. These are our alkaline earth metals, and they're less reactive than the alkali metals. Next, we have the transition metals, and these are very hard metals with high melting points, and you can make many different compounds from them. Most are multivalent. And then we have other metals, so these are common and useful metals, but they're not very reactive, such as aluminum. Now we have our metalloids. These are properties between metals and nonmetals. They're poor conductors and they're generally brittle. We have other nonmetals, which are less reactive nonmetals and the most common elements in living tissues. We have our halogens, which are our group 17 elements, and they're very reactive nonmetals. We have our noble gases, group 18, which is the very right-hand column, and they do not undergo naturally occurring reactions because they're stable. We have our lanthanoids, which are rare earth metals, and they're now usually used in laser technology, magnets, and more advanced batteries. And lastly, we have our actinoids. They have no stable isotopes, so they're all radioactive. Beyond uranium, they can only be produced artificially.